Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are finishing up the Aeronauts Windlass. We are at the climax, we are at the finish, we are at the end. Join us to see what happens. I love endings like this, where like the last bit of chapters are just like pretty fast paced, maybe a few stops here and there, but like just going full on and like you can't put the book down, just going like go.
Yeah.
And that's definitely how these last group of chapters, our last 20 chapters or so.
It felt like the definitely the climax, or like it felt like we're going downhill, and like it was just hard to keep up.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
Yes. So we left off last episode. The Inn had been attacked. Bridget, Folly, and Roel had been attacked, but they had all kind of defeated their battles, I guess. They had all won their battles, and now we're kind of like at a new calm down stage. And
This is like the calm before the real battle.
Yeah. And Grimm is talking to Ferris. I thought this part was interesting. He talks to Ferris about Cavendish because he had run into her outside of the inn. And it turned, we kind of get a little background. Like, it's obvious that Cavendish and Ferris know each other. At this point, we don't really know everything about it. We find out later that Cavendish was the apprentice of Ferris before Folly was.
Yeah.
Which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and her. Oh, I hope. Does it talk about that relationship, or is
A
it the
little
next
bit.
book?
It talks about it a little bit.
Okay, so
It's more like because Folly and Cavendish start to fight, and it's more like two apprentices, like
yeah.
Cavendish is like.
But it was kind of like, it came off as like one of those things where like she went dark and she fell for like the want of power, where maybe like Ferris is not one who's gonna be like, he's not gonna be teaching you the dark magic, the dark etherealist stuff, and so she fell for that and got a new master and such.
Exactly. And Grimm, he's talking to Benedict a little bit about like madness and about people that are crazy, and I actually really liked what he said. And it kind of explains why Grimm was, I think we called it instinctually afraid of Cavendish. And I think it's maybe because his experience and he's met ethereals before, maybe he recognized her as such. But anyways, this is what he says, and this is a direct quote. He says, "There is madness and madness, Master Sorlin," Grimm said. "Ferris and Folly are quite odd, and I take considerable comfort in that fact. In my experience, the worst madmen don't seem odd at all. They appear to be quite calm and rational. In fact, until the screaming starts." He glanced up to find Sorlin staring at him, frowning. "Let me put it this way, sir. If you ever meet an etherealist who does not seem odd, you will have ample reason for caution. An etherealist who speaks to things that are not there and cannot track the day of the week is par for the course. One who is perfectly well dressed, calmly spoken, and inviting you to tea, that is someone to be feared." So, I think we talked about it a lot, but Grimm is just definitely that character in this story who just has a lot of experience under his belt and kind of knows what he's doing, and is, I think, a good guide to the group, and is adding kind of that.
Yeah, and I don't know, I have been trying to tell, it seems like it's both, he has a lot of experience and he just has a knack. He like, this is his instinct, and he just like nails it every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he met Cavendish, he immediately was like, I better be super polite to this lady.
Yeah.
I mean, he already is like super polite, but he was pretty over the top with her.
Yeah, and
even later we'll see that after he learns who she is, he's still like way super polite. But I mean, he knows he should be.
Yes, because of what happens next, essentially. So we find out what happens if you're impolite to Cavendish, because one of the Aurorans is impolite to her, and she just kills him. Well, she doesn't really kill him.
I think she
like does
gouges his eyes out or something.
No, she crooks her finger, and he just starts screaming, and he claws his own eyes out.
Oh, that's right. Oh man.
And like the men try to stop him and like try to prevent him from doing it, and then he eventually stops screaming, and they're like, take him to the infirmary. So it doesn't seem like he does die, but she definitely does something to him that's like,
yeah.
dang.
And she even like tells the spirit, you value the life of your men, then tell them to be nice or be polite and crap.
Yeah. And then she tells, it's pretty unclear at this point, but she essentially tells, what's his name, Major Aspira, to send a few of his men off to do something. It turns out that they go and they kidnap Bridget, Folly, and Roel.
Well, they don't get roll.
Oh yeah, they just get Bridget and Folly. And how they're able to do that is Bridget and Folly. They're kind of like while all this is going on, Bridget, Folly, and Roll are making their way back to the inn. They kind of see everything going on at the end, like the tail end of the commotion. They're like, oh, we probably shouldn't go there. Let's go back to the ship. And on the way back to the ship, they get kidnapped by Aurorans. And they kind of shifts away from that, and then we have Grimm and them. They're kind of coming up with a plan, a more, I guess, better plan to find out where things are. They go to the Verminocitors Guild, and they kind of talk them into helping them find out what's going on, because they found out that the Verminocitor had died, and the Verminocitors Guild confirms that, like, yeah, he was killed what seems like surface creature stuff, but it's also like very suspicious.
Yeah, and I don't remember who it was, but someone who was very intuitive, like, looked at the body and was like, this was attacked after, like, the Silkweavers got to it after he was already dead. They deduced that it was just a cover up, and they're like, where did this man die? That's probably where the Aurorans are.
Yeah. So,
or where was he working? I guess they didn't know where he died, but where was he working with his verminosity skills?
And then bum.
This is where things start to, it just seems to pick up super quick. It's just like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, because then Cavendish shows up to Grimm's ship and demands, basically says, Ferris, if you don't give up your collection, then I'm going to kill Bridget and Folly. And then Ferris does, and it turns out that his collection is what keeps him sane.
Like the crystals for...
Yeah. And Folly kind of explains it a little bit. How it works is, like, something happens when you interact with ether or do something that almost like creates a hole in your soul. And if you don't fill it with something, you just are bumbling jumble of madness. And for her, it's talking to crystals and treating them like people or whatever. And Ferris, it's collecting random junk. And you remember, I think if you remember back, those of you who are reading along with this, there were several times where Ferris, or I think maybe just once, he would just ask, he would tell Folly, he was like, I need a left shoe, a glove, and a banana peel or something like just like a random stuff. Yeah, and then she'd go get it, and then he would cart it around with him in like a little wheelbarrow type thing.
Which, I mean, I love it when authors do stuff like that, 'cause it's just like, you take something so random and then, like, we don't look at it and be like, that's so stupid. We're like, this is funny and it's interesting.
Yeah. And then, of course, classic bad guy, good guy discussion. They give in to the demands of the bad guy. The bad guy walks away thinking they won.
And I don't remember where they say it either, but Cavendish has no intention of releasing Bridget or Folly. Like, she sends someone off to kill him. I think she sends Sark, that warrior born who follows her around.
I think you're right that she was always planning on killing them, or at least not planning on letting them go. But I think she sent Sark off after them because Grimm shows up to the camp with his men to attack, and she's like, don't ever say I'm not a woman of my word. Sark, go kill him. Because she was kind of like, if you follow me, if you come after me, if you do anything to hamper me, I'll kill them.
Oh, so they actually did do something. I was thinking she was just like, hey, we got what I want, so off with their heads.
Yeah, I think she probably would have done that anyway, but that's what she says before she commands Sark to go kill him. So, I mean, it's like one of those things where it's like, well, is that really why you're doing it, or were you going to do it anyway?
She just, like, one of those people who, it's like, this makes me think of Professor Snape, where, like, he literally will find any excuse to punish Gryffindors.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, he turns a blind eye to,
like,
the Slytherin. So it just seems like that, like,
yeah,
he did. If he didn't have superiors, he probably would have just been like giving all the Gryffindors detention just permanently throughout the year, types of whatever. Seems like she's the same way, even though she doesn't really seem to answer to anyone. We kind of find out that she does. No, we do find out that she does near the end.
There's a little battle between Folly and Cavendish that's pretty intense. It's like almost like a battle of the minds.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
But I guess we can just talk about it now and then kind of catch everyone else up. But
cause I thought this was super interesting, and I loved how Folly was at the end. Like, I don't talk to the puppet; I want to talk to the real person in charge. Yeah. And I was just like, "Oh, that is such a nice backhand to Cavendish." Right, She's probably so pissed.
So Bridget and Folly are in the camp of the Aurorans. They kind of like escape their bonds a little bit, not really escape, and then the confrontation happens, and that's where we get like the. I was totally picturing Jedi apprentices, like oh, you were taught by this person too. Did he teach you this? And there's
100%, yeah. That's what it felt like. I was trying to think of some Jedi, because I was thinking of like Obi-Wan and Anakin, but that's not really quite it. It was maybe more so like Obi-Wan and Count Dooku, and then like, you know, they had the common.
Or like Kung Fu Panda. Remember when Poe is fighting that guy, the tiger guy? Anyway,
Sure.
It's just a classic. Like if you can probably think of any movie or book where a former apprentice who went wicked fighting the current apprentice, and the conversation that happens, like, did he tell you what really happened, or did he actually teach you everything, or is he holding back? Like, you suck and he sucks, and like, you should join me, is what it boils down to. But then, like you were saying, Folly then realizes, like, wait a minute, Cavendish, like, you're being manipulated, you're being controlled, you're a puppet. And then she's like, she totally comes off as like naive. Like, I don't even know if she was like actively trying to insult her. Maybe she was, but she was just like,
she 100% felt like that.
Yeah, because she was just like
she was just stating the obvious, like, oh, you're the puppet. Talking to you is pointless. I need to talk to the person controlling you.
Yes,
but
then,
she says it in a perfect way that even if Cavendish would have been like a cool, composed person, she still would have been like, you son of a, how dare you insult me?
Exactly. And then Cavendish does the same thing she did to the soldier. She like cricks her finger. And then from Bridget's perspective, Folly just starts screaming and falls down. But from Folly's perspective, she kind of like goes in like this weird, like alternate dimension.
Yeah, and we kind of heard about this a little bit, that she was having dreams of like people talking or something. I can't remember exactly what she said.
She was somehow intercepting communications between, I guess, apparently Cavendish and this weird demon creature thing, who, when she goes to this alternate reality or alternate dimension or whatever the heck it is, it demands that Folly serve him. And she kind of pretty much just laughs it off. She's like,
yeah, and I'm kind of curious, like, when he says, like, you will serve me, is that supposed to, I wondered if he was supposed to have some sort of powers where she's like, couldn't withstand him, like, I will serve you, but now she's just like, what? No way. I
think that's kind of what it seemed like to me. Like, he was trying to exert control. He wasn't asking her. He was like trying to actively like erode her will and take control of her. Because I think she said it was similar, the control that he was trying to exert on her, or the control that she sensed between him and Cavendish, was similar to the control she felt with the Silk Weavers, the someone controlling the Silk Weavers.
Right.
And so, and she kept mentioning puppets, but yeah, she's able to resist it somehow. Like, she's just,
and it's not even, it's like, like you
said,
like
it almost seemed like part of her madness that she was able to resist.
I wonder.
Because she was talking to the crystals. She was like, oh, he thinks that I'm going to serve him. Like,
So she came off as like way more powerful than I originally thought she was. Like, I thought when she fought the Silk Weavers, I was like, dang, she's pretty strong. Yeah. But I'm just like, holy cow, is she like actually super maniac strong?
I'm kind of getting the feeling that she is. And I wonder if that's the only reason why Ferris chose to train her. Because, I think there's a lot of instances where masters will have someone, an apprentice, go bad and then not train anyone again. But maybe Folly has so much potential that he decided to.
Yeah, maybe.
And apparently he even named her Folly. Which Cavendish was like, he named you Folly because of me. I was like, okay. But yeah, so she resists, and then she's able to get herself out of that alternate dimension. And then I'm trying to remember what the crap even happens after that. Like, I think Cavendish just pretty much kind of dips at that point. Because this is when we'll put in that meanwhile.
Right.
Because a lot's going on while Folly is going through all of that. Like, a lot is happening. Because Grimm and his men came up on the caverns. They started. So first off, the Aurorans are evacuated. They're going to go and do their thing. And Cavendish brings in all the Silk Weavers that she has control of. There's like tons and tons of them.
And adult ones, too.
Adult ones, yeah. So they're not quite as big as the one at the end, because they said that was the matriarch. But they're definitely big. The Aurorans leave. The Silk Weavers come. Grimm's men attack with the Verminocitors. And at first, they're like kicking butt, because they kind of surprise a little bit. They kind of have a surprise attack. But then, like, the Verminocitors get like totally blindsided. Yeah. Like, they have like these awesome swords, dude. Those swords sound so wicked. And like, so like, holy crap, I don't want to fight anyone that's a master of that. Right. But basically, it's like a sword that can extend like a whip almost. And it's just jagged. And it describes them as they would like wrap it around the Silk Weavers and just tear them, just rip them and shred them. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so if that can shred a Silk Weaver, which if you remember, when they were in the end, when they were whacking it and stabbing it, like it was even, they were even resisting full on gauntlet blows. And then, but these swords were just shredding them. So like, can you imagine against human flesh if I saw you right in half? I was
Right.
like, holy crap.
You wouldn't stand a chance to get that around and be like,
And it was
peace
really
out,
cool.
world.
I don't know why I really liked this scene with the Verminocitors, because like they were like in a line, they were just like going to town, just like shredding into these
Yeah.
silk weavers, just like professional exterminators, and totally put the Verminocitors in like this totally different light. 'Cause I think up until now we kind of had the high level like, oh yeah, the Verminocitors, like yeah, they deal with the rats and they deal with whatever else happens, but like no, these are like
They're practically like
these are soldiers.
Yeah, seriously.
These are like specialized soldier units.
Because these aren't like your typical exterminator who goes and
They're not
fights
spraying
bugs
They're
or
not spraying
rats.
things.
Right. They're fighting things that are bigger than them and fight back.
And they're going against dangerous, because like they went out with just professional efficiency. They weren't phased by how many there were. They weren't freaking out. They were just went to town, went to work, and just went for it like professional soldiers. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Like I think that I would like to see more about the Verminocitors and see. That'd be kind of cool to like have like a story about them. But
Yeah.
anyway, we'll see if that even happens. But like I said, they get totally blindsided. They get outflanked, and silk weavers attack them.
Yeah, and it was like there was
behind
like a
and
whole
pretty
new wave, because I think what happened was like Cavendish called a bunch of the silk weavers, but then the
They came in a
Verminocitors,
different
like,
way.
was like getting them, but then like more came, and yeah, they came from different
Came
ways.
from behind and pretty much wiped them all out. I don't even know if any survived. At least
It
I
seemed
don't.
like
I
they
don't remember.
definitely
I don't remember them saying any of the Verminocitors made it out. But it was like,
Not even that one guy who Eric or something.
yeah, like the leader, not even the leader. And he had two of them. He was like,
Yeah.
I was like pretty sick. But yeah, so at this point, it takes kind of a tide. The tide turns, and yeah, things start to look pretty bad.
Yes, and this is where we knew this happened before, but Rowell saw Bridget and Folly get taken, and instead of like following him, he goes to the 9 paws. Or is it 9 claws?
I have it written down right here. 9 claws. Yeah, because now here's another. Meanwhile, so Roel went, like you said, he went to Neen, who's the king. Wait, no. Neen's the prince.
Yeah, Neen's the prince.
Neen's the prince of the
Non,
nine.
I think, is the...
Yeah, Non is the king. And he goes to Non. And he doesn't challenge Non directly, but at the same time, he's kind of like pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
But
Because like before, when he went to see them with Bridget and Folly, he was like doing the proper thing. But now he's like sprinting there, and he's even
He, like,
attacked
took-
a
yeah.
few of the other cats in the 9 claws because they got in his way. And I want to see this because I'm having a hard time picturing him sometimes. But apparently, Rowell is like, he's big for a
yeah, so he
cat.
said he's like 40 pounds, 40 to 50 pounds. And for reference,
That's
for
huge.
you and I, Loki is 15 pounds.
Yeah, dang.
And so he's like,
And he's a regular house cat, I would say. He's your
yeah, so
average
he's like
house
he's
cat.
like 3 or 4 times bigger than.
Yeah. He's
Loki.
seriously, he's got to be like a friggin' mountain lion or something of the size of a cat.
Maybe like a bobcat size. I can picture like a bobcat size.
Yeah. Anyway,
Maybe like a little smaller than a bobcat.
and he's not only pretty big for a cat, he's also a really skilled fighter.
Yeah.
And like he through the whole time he was like, that cat's lucky I didn't take his eyes, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But we don't get the whole battle because he goes there. It turns out that Neen. I don't remember if Neen was like working with the bad guys or if he was just being. Like,
I
a
don't think
coward.
he was. There was nothing that I remember reading where it says that he was in league with the Aurorans or
Yeah.
anything. He just kind of was a coward and was maybe scared and trying to preserve his own tribe and stuff. So but that chapter ends in like an annoying way to me, just because we didn't go back to it. But it it ends with Rowell actually fighting Neen.
Yeah, we don't get to see the fight
we
because
don't get to see
it
that.
ends with Roll saying to Non like, "I'm pretty much gonna attack your son," and then Non being like, "All right." And then the chapter literally ends like, and then Roll lunged at Neen.
Yeah,
and it
and
ends.
he lets out his cat roar.
And I was like,
Yeah. It's gonna sound so weird. This is fun. I'm sure that this is probably not popular enough of a series that it's gonna be like made into a movie or a TV show. But that's just the thought of it in my head is just so funny when it comes to the cats, where like it would just be so weird. Like I don't know if any of you out there has seen people who like will meow and hiss and whatever at cats. And you're always like, this is weird. I mean, like the whole movie would be weird when just like watching Bridget meow and growl or whatever. Or maybe they just maybe
like the
the
first interaction it would be like from then on it would be like her talking and him talking back, and it's just assumed that they're talking. And
yeah, maybe they'll do something with his mouth to make him look like he's just speaking English or something.
This thought just came to my mind. If we ever meet Jim Butcher, I'll have to try to remember to ask him this. I wonder if the cats in the Aeronauts Windlass are anything like the cats that Harry Dresden meets that are part of the Winter Court.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I don't think they're cats, but I remember they were described as like really big and like super vicious. So I wonder if he kind of got inspiration from like that, kind of adapted it for this story. So it's kind of cool to think about that. But anyway, there's hopelessness. Meanwhile, there's hopelessness. They're cornered. They're about to die, but then they hear a yowling, and the cats Rohan charge. It's interesting how they fight. It's interesting how they fight because, which I actually kind of liked how he did this. It wasn't like, and then the cats easily defeated all of the Silk Weavers. Like they had to like, all like almost like pack hunt each. They had to like separate. They had to like get one by itself and then like surround it and like all dive in and like when it was distracted, it would go in and like slowly bleed it to death. So it wasn't like a. Yeah. The cats definitely weren't
one cat was not strong enough to take on one Silk Weaver. It wasn't an even fight of 1-on-1. So they did have to.
But they have vicious fighting machines. For those of you who have played with cats, you know how like when you play with them, and they like roll on their back and you like go like this, and they like bite you, and then they like go like this with their back feet.
Oh yeah.
So it seems like that's what they do, except they have freaking like, they have spurs on.
Yeah.
They're like pretty much like daggers or something.
So it's worse.
So like instead of kicking with their claws, they're like raking you with like these steel claws. I was like, I just picture all these little kitties.
Yeah, right.
They're all vicious. Yeah, they come in and then it rallies the other people and they're able to kill all the Silk Weavers. So it's kind of like a really fast paced. Like this is all happening over a space of like several chapters. It's just like this and this and this and this and this. And this.
Yeah, because it bounces back between like Folly and Bridget, then Grimm, then Rowell, then.
This is a perfect example because I know we talked about this when we were reading A Shadow of What Was Lost. Of like, this is how you do a chaotic scene that involves a lot of characters doing different things. Because even though they're all doing different things, they all contribute to the emotion and the power of this final scene. Because like each person has their own piece of it that makes this scene, if it was just them, like really impactful. Like Bridget and Folly are like they've been captured and they're trying to escape and they're getting attacked. Graham has his sailors and they're dying left and right. Like he has like not even like half his crew left, or maybe only half his crew left, and he's going to do all of these things. And then Roll with his challenging and. But it all comes together in like one epic battle scene that like really worked well together, and it was kind of like It was kind of like a kind of ebbed and flowed, and I thought a good way because the Verminocitors like really helped. They're like, oh, we're gonna win. Like, oh, crap, we're gonna die. And then the cats came, oh, we're gonna win. Oh, but we need to help them. Okay, we won.
Because I definitely like that because I just did not like the end battle of Shadow of What Was Lost because it was like everyone come together to fight. Like they got the kingdom. I'm already forgetting all the stuff in the Shadow. They got them to fight. And then, like, the shadow people come and fight. And then, Davian, is that his name?
I think so.
And then Davian comes and fights. And then, like, no matter what they do, like, the blind was just pushing him back. And it was literally pointless for them to even fight.
Yeah, and then
freaking
Caden
comes in and just like, oh, everyone's dead. Bye. It's like, are you friggin' kidding me? What? So this definitely was way better.
This was way better. But after the battle, it turns out, they're like, we gotta go after the Aurorans, and they still don't really know what the Aurorans' plan is, but they follow them to. They kind of follow like there's like people on the ground and like they're kind of starting fires. They kind of follow the trail of their passing, so they're no longer trying to be secret. And it turns out they went to the Temple of the Way. And lit it up for like the whole thing's just like an inferno. And Benedict, of course, he's like really attached and tied to these people. And he hears someone in there and he rushes in to try to save him. And Bridget rushes in after them and Roll rushes in. And we get kind of like this scene of, we kind of see the strength of a warrior born because he's kind of going through all this and going through it. And we find out that he was actually poisoned by the Silk Weaver. Mm-hmm. But unlike Grimm, unlike Gwen, doesn't immediately take him out. He's actually able to go through and he kind of rescues his former master.
I think he did because he was pinned under something.
Yeah, but he still dies. That's why I say kind of.
Oh, okay. I see. No, you're right.
So he rescues him from his immediate peril, but he's still his injuries were too much, and he succumbed. But he gave him a book. He was like, take
Yeah. And this is what I think he says she was after. So, like, Cavendish was after this book. She burned all the other copies, but Vincent was able to save this one. So Cavendish has one, and Vincent gave Bridget and Benedict the other.
Yeah.
We don't have any dang clue what the heck this book is, though.
Yes. Even at the end.
They say the name and stuff or something? It's
so
like the index?
Because Cavendish, she has the book, and she's like, apparently part of her madness is she's a genius because she's reading it like crazy as they're going through doing all these things. And she's able to memorize the entire book.
Yeah. I totally suspected because we get to the point where the Aurorans have escaped on another ship and Predator's going after them. Predator catches up to them and subdues them and gets them to surrender. And then there's not even any negotiation that I remember. And she just gives over the book and Ferris's gear.
Yeah.
It was like she gave that up really easily. Like there was no fight at all. And I was kind of like, was it because she was shot? She got shot and she was wounded, Cavendish, and it's like, is she just like giving up? Like,
I'm thinking straight, yeah.
But yeah, then we at a little farther down, it was like give me pen and paper,
and then they're like, what was that book? And all she says is names, like it listed names. I'm like, okay, well,
yeah.
I guess Ethereals can do something with names. Like I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have any idea what they can do with names
So
yet.
it's probably gonna play a part in the book because the back part of the second book is like the Rorans have this weapon that can destroy entire spires, and so
maybe they just have to list everyone's name.
I wonder if that's like part of it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
We kind of jumped around a little bit. One thing I do want to mention before we get to the final battle is I was also impressed with Bridget in this scene because she chases after Benedict, and Benedict collapses. And so she has to carry Benedict, and then while she's carrying Benedict, she gets attacked by an Auroran, and she's like smashes his head. She was able to win and pull him out. So I thought that was a good scene for Bridget because she's always been kind of like the whole book. She's been struggling with like being bold. Now, I don't know, maybe not struggling, like being okay with being bold. Maybe I don't know how to describe it because she hasn't been afraid to like talk, but she's also been like a little timid, like fighting. So I think it was a good growth moment for her.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, jumping into the good stuff. We get an awesome set of ship battles that kind of combines old ships with like cannons that shoot balls of iron and like dog fighting.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so satisfying. I really liked it. Because they're it's like the whole thing of how the ship works with like the crystal and with just a bunch like I don't know. It's just really interesting and how ether works, and it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to track the mist shark. So before the mist shark leaves, actually the Aurorans get on, and then it just like blasts the whole harbor, like destroys a bunch of ships, almost destroys Predator. But luckily Gwen and the other engineers were able to work. This is another meanwhile moment. We'll touch briefly on it because who cares about Gwen? No, just kidding.
Right.
Just kidding. But during all this fighting, Gwen was working with the engineers, and there's a whole team of engineers that were frantically working to install the new crystal and repair the Predator.
Yeah, and luckily she heard all the gauntlet fire and then came out of the ship like, oh, this place is getting attacked, and then
they just barely like the ship falls, like the mist shark shoots out the supports or whatever, and it falls. But luckily they installed it just enough to.
This is a moment I kind of liked because I like when there's like surprises for the characters. It's like there's dust and debris and whatever blocking the view. So Grimm thinks that Predator fell and is gone now, along with like everyone else who was still on the ship. They're all dead now, and they're gonna die on the surface by falling. But then they pull it up and like that. No, we're still here. And I was like,
like one of those classic moments for sure.
Because it was also sad because he was like, my home is gone, and he was like getting all sad in his head and everything, and like all this crap, and you're just like,
and it's like, ta-da.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so kind of set up this final battle. Everyone's now on the ship. Gwen, Benedict, Bridget, Grimm, obviously. Benedict's sick with the being poisoned by the Silk Weavers, and so there's kind of an urgency there that they need to capture the mist shark and get back Ferris's collection so that Benedict can be healed. That's kind of like Bridget's and probably Gwen's to a certain extent main motivation. to catch Mist Shark, and then obviously Grimm's main motivation is the Mist Shark did like this big attack. It has enemy soldiers on it that attacked everything. But a couple things helped them to locate it. That was pretty interesting. Secretly behind the scenes, Grimm's crew sabotaged Mist Shark's crystal, so it can't go its full speed. And it turns out that Folly can communicate with Predator.
And not only that, but it seems like Predator and probably the other ships like actually have their own like
they're
alive. They're sentient to some degree. Yeah. And like she has a conversation with the ship, and the ship speaks back to her. And everything.
Yeah, it's like a full-on conversation too. Like Folly even talks about how Grimm kind of has a sense, and the ship's like, "Yeah, Grimm's pretty good. Like he's more than anyone can kind of sense what I'm doing." And like the ship has like a fondness for Grimm and the crew. And that's kind of cool. And then she's able to do. Folly does something. She like hones in on Ferris's collection somehow, and sets up a little glowing dot that shows like go that way to get to the Mist Shark, and then they're able to close the distance, and they kind of shoot up the Mist Shark a bit, and they surrender. And then like you already mentioned, like it was like really easy. Like they gave the book, they gave the collection. They're kind of like, oh dang it. But then it turns out the whole time they were running, they were shooting up flares. The Mist Shark, when they were running away, they were shooting up flares. So was Predator, incidentally. Which we don't know about yet, but I'll tell you now. They were shooting up flares too. And Istaka shows up.
Yes.
Which is like...
Oh, I think the audiobook said Itasca?
Itasca?
Anyway, whatever. We know what it is.
Yeah. Itasca shows up, which is essentially a ship like Grimm Killer.
Their battle cruiser of the Orange battle cruiser.
Exactly.
So this is where I envisioned in my head, round 2.
Yes. And it's kind of like a glow. It immediately shifts back where you're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to die.
Yeah. I had hope because going this was like, okay, they don't have necessarily a surprise, but they were expecting it and like thinking there was going to be that the Aurorans were trying to meet up with the rest of their fleet or something like that. And I was thinking like, okay, he's got better crystals than he did before, maybe, and he's not like they're still kind of limping.
Ships like Itasca have like 2 crystals though.
Yeah,
and so they're just.
So
like,
I still was just like, maybe they'll pull something out of their butt.
And they have the shield, and they have the armor. But anyways, instantly Predator just turns and runs. It tries to use its greater speed and tries to run away. And Itasca kind of uses its long range cannons, and apparently. There's a veil that goes out the ship that helps with speed and steering and general maneuverability. And
that's how they move it.
They go out so long that they go outside the protection of like the shield.
The shroud.
And so a strategy is to shoot just right there and slowly blow up their veil. So it slows them down. They're like, oh, we're going to die. But then out of nowhere, well, I guess not out of nowhere because like I said, they've been shooting flares. Predator has this whole time, the same as they did. Rook's ship shows up, which is very similar to Itasca's ship.
It's like Albion's battle cruiser.
Yeah, and then it has like a perfect surprise attack, lays into Itasca.
Oh, I remember what happened with this a little bit more. They saw. I forgot what this battle. What is Rook's ship called?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I wonder if I have it somewhere. Glorious. That's what it's called.
Glorious.
So yeah, so Predator's running away, and then they see up ahead of them that Glorious is coming, but they're like.
They go on like in the.
They're. I don't know if they were all outside the mist, but they go out inside the mist, and then Predator heads that way, and then Glorious ambushes Itasca.
But then this whole time, well, not this whole time, but when we first met Itasca, Grimm was like, "Oh crap! Like we gotta leave. Like we're dead," and we finally see why Itasca has such a reputation because even with surprise. They easily defeat Rook's ship. Rook, albeit he is a coward.
Rook is a coward. That was part of the problem.
But they still do lay into him pretty good.
Yeah.
And then he runs. He immediately flees. But
it seems like Rook came in with Glorious and did a ton of damage to Itasca. But then like Itasca did a little bit of damage back to him. He was like, nope, I'm out, and then just ditches.
Yeah.
He leaves the Predator and everyone else to just die.
Exactly.
And I think Predator turned around, like stopped running and like even did its own little thing.
Yeah, because he was like, let's help Glorious. Like they were gonna help.
They totally could have taken him, just those two, but
then maybe not.
Maybe not. No, you're right.
Because after this, 3 more Albion ships dive bomb, and then just lay into Itasca, and it like immediately takes out one of them like completely. It
Yeah.
falls down to the surface.
And we actually, just really quick, because this is super quick, but we learned on that ship that it take out, only one person survived.
Yeah.
They obliterated that crew in that ship.
And interesting enough, it was the ship that what's his name? Grimm's friend wanted Grimm to be captain of. That's the ship
Bayard
that,
wanted. Oh, really?
that's the ship that got totally crippled. And then the other ship gets like totally, and it Bayard is Bayard, then his two ships are the one that are coming, and Itasca almost easily handles all. Like it's winning, it's won. But then there's like a last minute, Grimm is able to maneuver Predator. He gets underneath Itasca, ripple fires, which is when they just shoot the same spot, like do, and just hits it just right because he's already wounded. Like the armor's already got, and he cripples Itasca like barely. But like Itasca won. Like
Seriously.
that was just like pure luck. Like against 4 ships. No, 5 ships.
Yeah, if you
4
count
of which
Glorious.
were ships in its own class, and one that was just kind of like still a good ship, but like it won. If Grimm hadn't been such a good experienced captain and such quick on his feet, plus a healthy dose of luck, like it would have lost.
Seriously. And I can't remember, but the ships that Bayard came in on, they were smaller than Itasca's, weren't they?
I thought they were the same class, like destroyer classes.
Oh, really? Okay, I couldn't remember what they.
I could be wrong, but that's what I thought.
But anyway, whatever the heck they were, he's still one big ship had 4 ships coming after it. It destroys 2 of them, almost like nothing, and then the other 2 really have to pull something out.
Yeah.
Grimm really has to pull some moves in order to.
Yeah.
We don't know what happens to Rook later, but Rook should be like.
So that we do know.
Oh, we do. I just forgot.
So Grimm accuses him of cowardice.
Oh, okay.
And
No,
then,
that's
but
coming
then
back
like
now.
the admirals or whatever the heck, because Rook is like, no, I wasn't cowardice. Like they disabled my lift crystals, and so that's why I also fell. Like I didn't run. It was because I fell. And then Grimm's like, bull crap. But then they're like, it's your word against his, and he's a respected army guy, and you're been Brandon
He's
already
like an
covered
outcast.
yourself, and so they basically side with Rook. But I think it's like they side with Rook because they need every fighter they need. Like I don't know if it's everyone or just Bayard. It's kind of like, yeah, we know what really happened, but
Yeah.
kind of still need
Rook
him.
is making me think of the classic character who is like, he's a good guy, but you kind of just don't like him, and then you later find out he backstabs all the good guys and betrays them and joins the other guys. Like
I can totally see him.
I can see him joining the
100%.
Aurorans and
Yeah,
taking up
I
the
wouldn't
fight
be
against
surprised at
Albion
all.
because he thinks that Albion's going to lose.
Yeah.
So I don't like him. I hate him more than Gwen.
I can get on board with that. And then that's like the end of the climax. Like and then it kind of cools off. We get a really funny scene with Roll. So Roll was injured because he didn't strap in. Because when ships are fighting, like you gotta be strapped in like pretty good, or you're gonna be flung about. And
Yeah.
Roll wasn't strapped in, and he it's like described it from his perspective. He's just kind of like, I wish, kill me, Bridget. Like I can't even go around and with this
He
injured,
totally wants to
like
commit
you think like
suicide.
he's been like crippled or something, like he's paralyzed he can't move his back 2 legs, but
Yeah.
turns out he broke his arm and is in a cast. And he's like,
Yes, seriously. My good crap. And he just wants to die.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
He's like seriously asking if Bridget will kill him. He's like, just kill me. And Bridget's like, oh my gosh. It's like, stay on this. Like he's like, no one can see me like this. It's totally awful. And so she's like, just stay on the ship until you're better. And he's like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Oh, he's so dramatic.
Yes.
He's cats.
And then we already talked about this, but this is the point where, because during all the fighting, Miss Shark escaped. And it's at this point in the story where we get to Cavendish's perspective, and she's talking to Aspira, and she's like, bring me all your papers and stuff. And he's like, it's a book of names. And then we also get a little glimpse of Folly. She has a terrible, terrible vision, and then Ferris says, it's the beginning of the end. And then that's the end of the book.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like, ooh. So it's like a good cliffhanger where it's not like right on the edge of something, but like definitely you can tell that war's about to break out more so than just this is definitely gonna be more not like a normal war between like soldiers, and it seems like there's definitely gonna be an element of magic,
His higher power is of sorts.
yes, which we definitely get from the back part of the book of the next book, which is the Olympian Affair. It says that the Aurorans have a weapon that can eliminate entire spires, which we already mentioned, but
Which sounds super insane because these spires are massive. It's almost like, I feel like an
I wonder
entire,
if it's like
like an
destroys the
entire
spire.
people. Like you would think like like you could fit all the Canadians on one of the spires, and then you could fit all of the Mexicans on one spire, and then all of the French people on another spire. Like an entire race of people could fit on one of these spires. So the fact that they have a weapon that's just like gone, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah, I wonder if the weapon is like actually physically destroy the spire or just like kill everyone that's on the spire.
Yeah.
I wonder which one this can end up being. But
That'll be insane to see.
yeah, overall, this is like a freaking awesome book. Jim Butcher definitely delivered. I've yet to read a book from Jim Butcher I don't like, and this is definitely...
Yeah, how does he only have 3 series? He's got the Codex Alera and the Dresden Files, and now this one.
Yeah, that I'm aware of. Those are the 3 that he has.
Yeah.
But I mean, Dresden Files has, what, like 18 books? So
Yeah.
It's not like he has like a little book. He has a lot of books, so...
Yeah.
Definitely awesome.
Yeah, so we would 100% recommend this here Windlass's... oh my gosh. The Aeronauts Windlass, we recommend. It's probably not the most exciting book when we compare it to like Stormlight or something, but
it's still really good.
But that doesn't mean it's not a good book. It's a really good book. Quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Would recommend. We'll put that on our list.
Yeah, I don't think I would put it in the epic fantasy type of category, but
no, I don't think it would be.
Still really, really good.
But man, one of the most intriguing things about this book for me was just like there has been something happened. Because I don't know how this happened or how the world was before, but there was some sort of life before the spires, and then the people built these spires, these builders that we heard about, to escape the surface and the surface creatures, and we only seen the silk weavers. I bet you there's more out there than the silk weavers.
It's probably like big, massive.
So, but it's just like this whole other element that we have like so little information on, and we're like, what is up with the surface? Why can't they survive? Especially like, I could see if they couldn't survive, and they were like on the level of. I was going to say the people in the Sunlit Man, but they were still pretty advanced themselves. But they're very advanced. They've got these ships that can fly in the sky and do all these crazy things. They've got these like spires that were somehow built to be indestructible, but yet they can't survive on the surface.
Yeah, so it's like, what's the deal?
Yeah, seriously. So it's got that thing because like
I wonder if it's like one of those things where like just every little thing on the surface is dangerous. Like if you touch a plant, you'll die. If a mosquito bites you, you'll die.
Yeah, seriously. It makes me think a little bit of Jurassic Park, because in Jurassic Park, like they've got advanced stuff, but they've got these little pistols and rifles that like against a giant dinosaur isn't gonna do much.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
And like
maybe they're like, because silk weavers are the ones that produce the silk that like negate ether. I wonder if there's other creatures that you shoot them with ether and they're just like,
yeah.
So,
but it definitely adds this whole new like. It makes me wonder like
I think Grimm even has like a normal like gun that's like gunpowder and
like a pistol.
But he says they're very prone to like exploding.
Yeah, so it almost seems like they've really advanced in certain areas, but certain areas that like we've advanced in, like we've got really good firearms, where it's fairly rare that it's just gonna blow up in your face. I mean, you got to really mess it up to do that.
Yeah, which makes sense because I mean, you have like this energy source that it's pretty much unlimited, that you can just shoot continually, and it's really powerful. So why would you invest in like gunpowder and stuff like that? So it kind of makes sense that they have like these really good cannons and shields and ships and gauntlets that can do all these things, but they don't have normal gunpowder and stuff. So
it's gonna be interesting to see where this series kind of goes. If you ever get the question answered of like why they can't survive on the surface with all this technology, or even I wonder if we'll ever get anything on the surface. Like
maybe they'll have, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see if something happens.
It'll be super interesting.
But yeah, so next episode, join us. We'll be talking about the first little bit of the Olympian Affair, kind of getting our first impressions, see if there's any new characters, what's going on with existing characters, and where we're at, and then it should be exciting.
Yeah, it'll be super exciting. Cool. Well, we hope you enjoyed these episodes of the Aeronauts Windlass. Yeah, and if you haven't picked it up, we hope you do, and hope you enjoy it. Yes. Be sure to join us next week when we go 2 years into the future and dive into the Olympian Affair. See ya.
It's over.